Good morning, everybody. How are you guys? Welcome to Sandy Talk Sheet or something like that. Today, I have with me my lovely assistant.
Hello.
And this is my husband. For those of you that don't know, this is my husband, Eric Abbey. And on the social and distancing show, I dubbed him my assistant because he pretty much assists me with everything. And so today, we're going to be talking about a Forensic Files episode. But first, I'm going to let Eric tell you a little bit about himself. But don't talk too much. This is my show, not yours.
All right. Well, as Sandy said, I'm her husband. We have two kids, Alex and Cade. Cade's 14 years old. He's a freshman, here at a local high school. And, got two dogs. Cash and or Johnny Cash and Piper, pretty much all about us.
Okay, so then now tell everybody how or why, when you got started on crime shows. What makes you a crime junkie?
I'm not, but because you watch crime shows, I watch crime shows.
I know, and that's what I was trying to tell Jamie. And let's rewind back real quick. Jamie had a loss in his family, so he's not with us this morning. And so if you guys could just keep him in your prayers, him and his family, that would be very much appreciated. And so anyway, I lost my train of thought where I was going before that. What was I going to say?
You were just talking about how you were asking me about how I become a crime junkie, but I wasn't.
So yes, I was trying to tell Jamie. Jamie said something about Eric and his crime. I'm like, okay, so Eric, let's just first of all rewind. Eric is not a crime junkie. I just say, hey, we're going to watch this, and he watches it with me. So let's talk about last week's episode a little bit, because if you remember, we talked about Abducted in Plain Sight, and that show was all over the place. So I think I told you guys last week a little bit about that. I watched it by myself, and when Eric and the boys had come home, I'm like, Eric, you have to watch this. So I'll let you guys hear from Eric what he thought about it, because it was just, I watched Eric's expressions instead of watching the show the second time around, because I wanted him to be as blown away as I was about it. So anyway, what did you think about Abducted in Plain Sight? Good morning, Anita.
I think it was probably one of the strangest shows I'd ever seen in my life. And pretty impossible to believe that anybody could let their kids, go with somebody that, just trusting that, how can you be that trusting of somebody that you don't really know, which I guess if you think you know somebody, then, maybe fine. But, still, the way that the guy isolated the girl, and the parents, went through great lengths to there was a number of things that happened that were very confounding.
So anyway, Eric was like, what did we just watch? Oh, we have a topic request. Can you talk to us about your Blackstone?
So, yeah, I have a Blackstone grill. I'm sure all of you have probably seen videos. If you watch the social and distancing show,
my Facebook page and my personal Facebook page,
it would make a routine appearance. And I'm a big fan of the griddle. Always have been. And the griddle has turned out to be the Blackstone, and in particular, but just the griddle style of cooking has been one of our favorites since we picked it up. Between a, I have a traditional smoker, a pellet smoker, and then the Blackstone griddle. The traditional smoker for all day if you want to sit there and maintain the fire and watch it and get a really good smoke on something. The pellet smokers for if you need to cook something all day but you're in a rush, you just throw a brisket on there, make sure you got plenty of pellets, and then you can go set it and forget it, that type of deal. A lot of barbecue guys will say it's cheating, but it tastes good. So and then the griddle, it's just great for, we love to do breakfasts on it. I used a smoker to smoke a steak low and slow, and then I'll throw it on the griddle and do it, in reverse sear style. And, that typically comes out really good. So big fan.
And so this is definitely not my topic because I don't know anything about it. All I do is just grab stuff for Eric. And when he needs something extra, and even then I'm kind of like, get it yourself, girl.
And then, always sampling. So.
Oh, and I do sample. Yes, I'm quality control. Okay, guys. So let's jump into this week's episode. This one is season 1, episode 12, and it's called The List Murders. And the reason it's called The List Murders is because the list was actually their last name. And so this one right here, it just kind of caught my attention because it was an America's Most Wanted case. And if you watched America's Most Wanted on Sunday nights with your family, then you probably saw this back in 1989. And also, too, this was a case where your art and science helped capture this. Okay, so let's get started. Good morning, and thank you all for joining me. Joanne, good morning. Anita. So the list murders. Okay, so we're going to start out. I'm going to show you guys this people's house. Okay, so this is a house. I want you to picture it already. Okay, I want you to have a picture of what it looks like. Wait, I'm not sharing my screen. I was just talking about it. Hold on. Where do I go? Sorry, guys. I definitely need my producer to come in here and be with me on this one and guide me. But we're going to make do, and you guys, and Eric's going to help me. Okay. So anyway, the List family murders, they live in Westfield, New Jersey, and Mr. and Mrs. List have been married for almost 20 years. John is a 46-year-old accountant. He's a devout Lutheran, and he taught Sunday school. Okay. And Helen is his wife, and they have 16-year-old Pat, 15-year-old John, and 13-year-old Freddie. And as a bonus, they have his mom, Alma, and she's about, I want to say 83, and she lives upstairs. Okay, so in fall of 1971, the house was empty because they went to visit a sick relative. Okay.
Huge house, by the way.
Yeah, and
monstrous
y'all,
house.
Jamie did some research for me. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you so much. And I want to say that he said it had like 18. It was 18 rooms or something. But anyway, this house was so big, like they had a ballroom in it. So just picture it, okay? 18 room mansion. Like this looks little, but then like there's a side part of it where you can just see how big it was. So anyway, so they're visiting a sick relative, and then a month goes by and the neighbors grow suspicious, okay? And you can close that out now. And so they call the police, and the police come out, and they come through a window that's unlocked, and they describe it kind of like it was eerie because they had like this music going, and he says they describe it as dirge type music, which was like a lament for the dead. So it was very creepy. And then they also get like a faint smell of decomposing flesh. Okay.
Unmistakable.
Yeah, I've never smelt one, and I don't have the desire. Like, I love this stuff, but I ain't trying to get into as deep as these people get it. Okay.
Sandy likes to gag with smells.
Oh yeah, don't talk about that. Because earlier he said something while I was having breakfast, and I'm like, okay, I'm fixing to gag. Don't be talking about that while I'm having breakfast. So anyway, so they discover 4 bodies in the ballroom. Okay, this house is big enough for a ballroom, and
one of the 18 rooms.
Yeah. And they're identified as Helen and her 3 children, and they've all been shot to death. And they also have some evidence of the cleanup. And so the police keep looking, and then they discover a 5th body. And the 5th body is of Alma, 84-year-old Alma, which is John List's mom. So then they discover.
He said that she was too heavy. She was too heavy for him to move with the rest of the family. So that's why he left her upstairs.
And that's coming in the letter, Eric. You ruined it. I was going to tell everybody. So anyway, Eric has jumped the gun. I don't know what kind of I don't even know how I pay you to do this. So anyway.
Because I'm not.
In the den, they discovered 2 guns and a letter, and it's made out to the local pastor. So Jamie, in his research, found that they actually had 5 letters that he found. Because the episode is condensed, they only talk about the 1 letter. Okay. And this was made out to a local pastor. And not only was it a confession, but it was an explanation as to what he did. And it was signed John List, which, if you are following me, it was John List is the father and the husband. Okay. So his letter provides details of the murder. And, so he had recently lost his job, and he was having money problems. In Jamie's research, my producer, you're amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. So he lied. I mean, I'm referring to my phone for his notes because he was so gracious to send me his notes. So he says that he didn't tell his family that they were, that he had lost his job. So he would continue going to work. Air quote that, but he would just go to the train station. Okay, that's just too much. I'm messing up the English language. He would go to the train stations and read papers till it was time to go home. Yikes. That's a lot. And he also stole money from his mom's bank to pay the mortgage. I would really love to know what the mortgage is on that kind of mansion. Jamie, that would have been legit if you would have figured that out for me.
Probably back in 1971, not near as much as it is today.
Right.
But,
so it's the mortgage of our house.
but in today's money, I'd like to see what it would cost in today's money.
That'd be interesting, huh? You're the money man. You should have figured that out. Eric does this kind of stuff. I wonder how many murders go on in a mansion.
I didn't do any research.
And Eric wonders how much mortgages are.
I would have been wondering how much money he could make on Airbnb. If he rented out all the rooms.
That is
that's
so
a
true.
Cash cow right there.
You would. Anyway, let's see here. Where was I? Because I lost my train of thought. So anyway, he was a devout Christian, and he feared that his family was turning from a Christian life and disapproved of his daughter's interest of becoming an actress. So in his mind, there was only one place he could send his family to save their souls.
To heaven.
He's going to send them to heaven. Okay? Just think about that for a second. So this case obviously became a really high profile case. I mean, they did a nationwide manhunt, nationwide APB, because he'd already got a jump. He got a month ahead of everybody. Okay. So they were gone for a month. Everybody was missing for a month, and before they realized it. So it became a nationwide manhunt.
He must have prepaid the mortgage for a while with his mom's bank account. Maybe she was, had some wealth built up there that
I guess so.
Because, typically if you leave your air conditioner, running and lights on and everything in your house, and you're gone for at least a month before anybody notices, then
yeah,
obviously, your bills are getting paid at some point. So.
And so this was before draft. So I wonder if he prepaid. Nothing. No. Anyway, So let's see. So detectives, they kind of wondered maybe he committed suicide. Maybe it was like a murder suicide thing, or they also thought he's living somewhere in the Midwest. So did I mention that he eluded capture for 18 years? And the reason I'm telling you that now is because detectives would call the newspapers, because this had gone cold. So detectives would call the newspapers on the 5th, the 6th, any anniversary to keep the case alive. So anyway, one of the detectives is watching TV one night, and he decides, oh man, we should have this case put on America's Most Wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand if you watched America's Most Wanted, and that's kind of the reason why you're a crime junkie. But anyway, so John Walsh agreed to have the case shown. But if you watched America's Most Wanted, they usually had a recent or a more recent picture.
Well, the cases on America's Most Wanted typically weren't cold cases.
Right, they weren't 18-year-old
They were
cases.
a year, maybe year-old, 2-year-old cases at the most, right?
Right.
So this case was was the oldest case that America's Most Wanted ever picked up, and so being 18 years at the time that that America's Most Wanted picked it up. And then compounding that was that the most recent that John List didn't even have a recent picture. The only pictures that they had of him were taken several years before the murder. So I think that's where you're going with that, was that, one, they didn't know what he would look like, because, the last picture that they had, he would have already aged about maybe 20 years or so.
So anyway, Eric has just completely taken everything what I was going to. This is just going to be your show. Then.
Yeah. So anyway, on America's Most Wanted, they enlisted the help of a.
I didn't give you permission.
Oh, okay. Well, then go on then.
So anyway, back to me. He agreed to have his case shown, but anyway, so they would have to have a recent picture. So at 2 decades old, case, they're not going to have a recent picture. Thanks, Sandra. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're tuning in. Appreciate it. And Renee, I was trying to point at him to get your comment up, Renee. And then he's like, what? You would think being married this long, he could kind of get a cue, but he didn't. So sorry about that, Renee. It's his fault, not mine. So anyway, back to the case. So listen to this, guys. This is what amazed me about this case. Hey, Joe, what's going on? They enlisted John Walsh, enlisted the assistance of forensic sculptor Frank Bender, because this guy is a forensic sculptor. I've never even heard of the term before, Didn't even know this existed. And this is technology from back in the 80s. So what he does is he reconstructs faces to help police track down aging fugitives or identify decomposed bodies. Mm-hmm. And so his technique was art, science, and intuition. So good morning, Rod. So Frank goes on to say that computers can add wrinkles, but sometimes people can look better. And he said, you can add a couple of wrinkles, but that might not be the case of what they look like. So what Frank said is he needed a psychological evaluation to get into the mind, and he wants to become that person.
Yeah, it's almost like a method actor.
Yeah.
Like how an actor would, submerge themselves, kind of the whole reason why, what's his name, Heath Ledger, got into that role of the Joker, and then ultimately, we all know what happened to him. But,
yeah.
I guess this guy's pretty similar. He tries to get in their head and figure out who they were and what they would be doing, and how the toll it would take on them, so that he could represent that.
Yeah. So Frank enlists Richard Walter, and he's a forensic psychologist. And if you watch the show, y'all, that Richard Walter, he was different, and he kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, but it's probably because he's like really, oh my gosh, I'm going to start giving y'all the heebie-jeebies when I talk about dead people. Because that's I guess that was his thing, because he's a forensic psychologist. He studies dead people.
I study dead people.
Anyway, so he, Frank in recreating John List. And so this was what was kind of crazy to me. So when they're recreating him, Frank has his mouth going down in corners, and he says it's because of the anxiety that he feels that John List has, that he's carried with him because of the murders. And Richard's like, it's the anxiety of being caught is why his mouth is downturned. And guys, I mean, they go into depth. They go into researching his family and his upbringing, and they look at what the dad looked like as he aged. They look at what the mom looked like, and they talk about how
and then the forensic psychologist, brought into what the mind of a serial killer or that style of murder, what typically they tend to do, and to help draw upon those experiences to develop a better picture of where he would be at now.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm talking about like even so far as to how he would continue to dress, where he would be living, and like what his job would be. So they're just saying like he's still a CPA or accountant, whatever his title was, like, and he's living in this area. I mean, so they like seriously profiled, they really got into this guy's mind and said, this is where he's going to be, because everything, it's predictable. And if Jamie were here, I'm sure that, he would know the part of the psychology of, it's all, in those whatever charts that they do. And that was another thing too that he used was the charting mechanism of finding, like, to be able to recreate him. Like they have like these charts of like when they're doing the sculpting that had like what their skin tone would be, mm-hmm. and like how thick their skin would be based on
their DNA.
Yeah, so it was really crazy
because it varies between male, female, different races.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
So I want to show you one of the sculptures that Frank Bender did, guys, because it was crazy. Like they in the story, it tells you that it shows a skull that they found, and so Frank recreates it. And it's just amazing how he was able to come up with this. So what you're going to see here in just a second, that's the letter that he wrote that they found. And there's where Eric ruined the story. And he's like, the mother's in the hallway in the attic, and she was too heavy to move. Like, how heavy could an 84-year-old woman be? They
Mm-hmm.
show her to be really frail, but I'm not really sure. So anyway, so this is okay. So all they did with this sculpture that you're looking at now is they just found a body in a field. And so Frank Bender was able to recreate this sculpture. Like, he did not have this picture, obviously, but whenever they, aired it or whatever and showed it and put it in the papers, they discovered that it was this young lady right here. And of course, we didn't have any history or information on who she was, but I just wanted to show you how amazing this sculpture is. And I mean, many similarities.
Yeah,
I mean, he did awesome.
And it wasn't the case of like just a badly decomposed body. It was
no.
It was just a skull.
It was a skull.
Yeah. So he just took based on her skull, and then I guess they had done some kind of DNA or dental stuff that told him that it was a female and that she was African American. And then from that he took his typical profiles, and like Sandy said, he used different techniques that he had learned over the years to recreate what she would look like just based off of her skull.
Yeah.
And so this is the outcome. You have the one on the left is the actual picture of what an actual picture that she took, and then on the right, that's what the this artist came up with, and which spot on if you have it right next to each other. So
I feel like a lot of his stuff, he said he used intuition. I mean, the guy was incredible and in helping solve these cases. And Jamie said that he's got some more stuff, so I'm gonna do some more looking at some of Frank Bender's work. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how amazing this guy was. So let's go back to, let's see. So anyway, he finally gets the bust done for John List. And then he needs some final touches. So he needs a pair of glasses. Oh, Jamie, thank you so much. $85 million for an 18-room mansion in New York in 2019. Wow.
Big money.
Wow. And okay, so just a little bit on that. John List had a history of having like really good jobs, but he would also get fired from his jobs. That was his history on that. And anyway, so back to John List's bust. So they predicted that he would probably not be vain enough to wear contacts. And y'all, I can't wear contacts to save my life. I feel like my eyeballs are drowning. In case y'all were wondering how I felt about contacts. Eric also has contacts and he doesn't wear them either. So they predicted he wouldn't be wearing contacts. And they also, this is so crazy to me because I wear like the thick frame glasses and mine are for vanity. So you can't see my, what are these called? My bags. So you can't see my bags on my eyes. That's why I wear glasses. Anyway, he said that he would be, they would want to hide behind the fact that he was a failure by wearing thick glasses with dark, thick frames. And I'm not wearing my glasses today, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I hide behind my failures with my big, big, thick glasses.
I just use sunglasses just to, cover my eyes completely. That way nobody can see my eyes.
So then you have lots of failures?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he just only wore glasses. They didn't say anything about shades. So anyway, May 21st, 1989, a Sunday night, they air the episode of John List. Okay. So they air it. I mean, I don't know if you're hopeful. Maybe you are hopeful. I mean, I know I always would love to see, I love the updates when it came on, when they were like, update, they caught this person in so and such place. Anyway, so they're watching this and a family in Denver, Colorado recognizes him immediately. Like, that's the luck. That's what they were hoping for, to bring an end to an 18-year-old case. Okay. And one of the ladies says it started adding up for her. Her neighbor was an accountant. He was a Lutheran. He did have a scar behind his ear. I want to know how big that scar was. Like, how do you know someone has a scar behind their ear?
Gotta be pretty big.
Yeah, you don't have a scar, you're good. He was a classy, sharp dresser. He was well put together. And she said by the time they got to the sculpture, she was convinced that it was their neighbor. But he wasn't going as John List. He was Robert P. Clark.
Which, that's something that stunned me. It was like, how do you just change your whole, I mean, I guess it must have been easier back in the early 70s to get, new Social Security cards and stuff like that. Because I can't imagine that, you could just go to the Social Security card nowadays and be like, oh, I need a new social and under this name.
Right.
Because if that was the case, then,
Yeah, because even to get, when we were getting Alex's driver's license, you needed to have everything, including the Declaration of Independence, because it was ridiculous how much junk I had a whole, the original. I had a whole folder and you needed originals to everything. And it was like, really? And I can't remember. I think we were trying to show our insurance card on our phone and they were like, not acceptable. Like, this is real time, lady. I could give you a how many old card and it not be active. Anyway, different story. So yeah. So by the time they get to the sculpture, she was convinced it was him. And guys, this is what gave it away for her. This is what sealed the deal for this witness. The glasses and the jowls or whatever, the downturned mouth. And she said sagging jowls. Oh,
almost
man,
like
can you imagine if someone if
bulldog.
I'm like America's Most Wanted and someone is like, she's got sagging jowls, I'm going to have some issues.
Kind of looks like a bulldog,
I'm going to have some issues with that. Like some self-esteem issues. She had sagging jowls. That's how you can tell that it's her.
I think this guy had some self-esteem issues probably. So.
Yeah, I think he had more than self-esteem issues. This guy had more issues than Vogue. Okay. Just in case you are wondering.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, FBI moved in on him. Okay, so this was like an FBI case all over. But anyway, so the FBI agent comes up to him and, where he's working as an accountant and he's like, hey, are you Bob Clark? And he's like, yes, I am. And then he says, are you John List? And he's like, nope, I'm Robert P. Clark. And the FBI agent is just kind of blown away. He said the glasses were the same, and then let's go ahead and show them the sculpture. And then he said it was just like as if the guy was showing his as if he was showing the as if he was seeing him, like he sat and posed for him. So anyway,
yeah. So this is a side by side. I mean, just let's take a minute to marvel at how well this guy.
I mean, let's just go ahead and say that this John, what was the guy's name? Bender. That sculpture. I mean,
and this is the thing too. Like the sculpt, the artist had tons of different pairs of glasses and stuff that he was like, nope, this ain't right. This ain't right. And then finally, he's like, oh, perfect. Put those on them. And then, lo and behold, find the guy and he's wearing the exact same glasses. Looks almost identical.
Yeah, I'm just like, seriously, I was blown away when I watched this. I'm like, wow, like this guy, they should have given him, I don't even know if the award goes into that, but a Nobel Peace Prize or something. Because
definitely probably not a Nobel Peace Prize.
Why not?
Well, had nothing to do.
He brought peace to the family.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Anyway, this guy needed something. I mean, he ended a manhunt in one night, you guys. I mean, seriously, I don't know. I was just blown away by this case and just by all the forensics and everything else. But so let's go over now some of Jamie's research, okay? And I was wondering because, of course, he goes to court and, well, hold on, let me rewind. I'm getting ahead of myself. So they find him, right? Anyway, he's remarried. He has a wife now.
This was one of the strangest things.
What?
Like that I've, one of the most, things that I questioned about this whole episode is
what?
When you remarry and then, the new wife, you lost some on your lip there.
Boy, quit trying to. You couldn't even see it on there.
Sandy's got a hole in her lip.
Boy, I'm just gonna be quiet. Go ahead. Speak what you got to say.
So, just how this new wife, unsuspecting that he had murdered his previous family, I mean, had no clue. I mean, she knew the guy's Robert P. Clark or whatever his name was, and all of a sudden one day, at FBI or whoever, whatever law enforcement agency comes and arrests him, says that he's wanted for the murder of, 5 people in 1971, 18 years, earlier. And she's like, oh, I met him 18 years ago.
Right.
And it's like, I think there was a clip from in the show that showed the new wife was like, it's like, that's not my, it's like they got the wrong guy.
Yeah, that reminds me of that. What is it? Oh, it was I think on oh shoot, The Mask, when he's like, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that was one of the most confusing, the one of the craziest things, about the whole thing for me, and me wondering, it's like, well, what happened to his, did she stick with him? Did she leave him while he's in jail or?
Yeah. And so anyway, of course, he goes to court. He is convicted of 5 murders. And so, yeah, she comes out. So anyway, what they leave out, and this is what started me on this. I was wondering what happened to his current wife, current for back in the day. And so it actually brought up details of
the wife
of his wife that he murdered.
Mm-hmm. And
so here's what they left out. And I'm sure, for that time they had to edit and, you couldn't really discuss all of that stuff. And,
it's only a 30-minute show. So,
Right. But we can talk about it because we're an hour show. Lucky for you. So anyway, so it turns out that, and they brought this up during court, that not Bender, oh my gosh, God rest his soul. What was it? John List's wife actually had syphilis, and she'd contracted it from her first husband. And guys, of course, 30-minute show, you can only talk about it so much, but she was previously married. She had 2 kids. and they were half brother and sister to John List's children. And anyway, and so we don't know whatever happened to that family, but also to the 16-year-old daughter, that he was worried about her becoming an actress, and then, what was it? Moral
decay of his family.
He was worried about the moral decay of his family, so that's why he sent him to heaven.
The supposed.
I think he just made it up in his head. Honestly,
I think he was going under some moral decay.
Probably. And why don't you just take yourself out? I mean, it would have been simple. Anyway, okay. So she actually told her drama teacher, because she's dramatic like that her father announced that he was going to kill the whole family before he did it. So, wow. Okay. Of course, that the premeditation, he tried to say, oh no, it wasn't premeditated, but they found like a history of things where it was premeditated. And this is where Jamie had said that he left like 5 different letters. So he left one to the mother-in-law. He left one to his insurance agent. Okay. Y'all know that I'm an insurance agent. I probably would have loved to have seen this letter. I mean, not sad about the deaths. Y'all know I'm sad about them all, but I just would love to have received this letter. And then he left one to the estate's administrator. And man, I would love, you know what? That should have been something I would have done is where's the house now? And is it open for ghost tours? Or not even ghost tours, just to see what is, how much money that's raking in?
Yeah, for sure. Cash cow.
It's a cash cow, I know. And he left one for the Lutheran pastor, but we don't really know what happened to the 5th note. We didn't find anything about that. So anyway, some more information.
So how did they know they had 5 notes if they didn't find the 5th note?
Well, ask Jamie. Jamie, go ahead and put that in the comments. If you didn't find the 5th note, why are you telling us? That's what he said.
Where'd they get the number 5?
So he said that from 1979 to 86 list. I don't know. I don't know why I can't speak. He worked as a controller.
Plus his middle name. I was getting it confused with email. It looks like his name was John Email List.
Oh, that's pretty good. I didn't even see that.
But it's Emil.
And I say Emil. Because I know an Emil. Anyway, whatever.
Email list. He has an email list. Before email, he invented the internet.
You're obsessed with that. It's a bit much. I need you to tone it down. Anyway, he let's see, where was I? A controller at a paper box manufacturer outside of Denver, Colorado. Oh, so Jamie, is this after the fact? After he's been married and stuff? Let's see. Back in 71. No. Oh, seriously, my eyes are jumping. In 85, he married an Army PX clerk named Dolores Miller. And in 88, List and his new wife moved to Virginia, where he now is back as an accountant. And in 71 was laid off the Jersey Bank. Oh, back in 71. Sorry, Jamie, I didn't read all these. Anyway, so listen to this. The List children, they all had part-time jobs after school to help the financial situation. Okay. I mean, that's nuts.
They got to pay for that 18-room mansion somehow.
How do you pay for that 18-room mansion?
You got to pay the bills up in here. Yeah,
I do. I have to work. Mm-hmm. Not a stay-at-home wife.
I didn't say you were.
Okay. I just didn't know if that's what you were saying. So anyway, what'd you think about this case?
It was pretty nuts, I mean, for somebody who was a self-proclaimed devout Lutheran, even in the lead up, the intro to the show, it shows them singing in church, shows each family, and then it cuts to the gruesome scene of them dead, like actually the actual footage or actual pictures.
Oh no, I was talking. I forgot to tell you guys.
Sorry, the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours.
You interrupted my thoughts. So anyway, I forgot to tell you, when you watch this, viewer discretion is advised. And just know that for any of my cases, more than likely viewer discretion is advised, because they show the murders. I mean, they show the family lined up. These are actual photos. And
it's pretty morbid.
It's not that.
Well, they showed a picture of the wife with,
her eyeball was looking weird, right?
Face covered in blood.
Yeah. No, it's, what it reminded me of?
So all the, each one of the family members that was killed was shot in the head, except, well, with the exception of the oldest son who put up a fight. And he was shot 10 times.
Yes, guys, he shot. And this is when I was telling, when Eric and I were watching it, and I was trying not to comment so that he wouldn't try to guess what I was going to say for the show. But anyway, that boy fought back, the oldest kiddo, and he shot him 10 times. And I told Eric, I said, he shot him out of anger. Like, that was way too much. That was overkill. Is that a word? Overkill.
He overkilled his family.
He overkilled his son.
That was way overkill.
Oh, thank you, Anita. Oh, I don't know. Vote for Eric. He's not a crime junkie. I would just make him watch things. So anyway, let me see. So guys, there's another reason why I wanted you to know about this case. Okay. So I kind of had this. Hold on. Jamie is telling me something. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Me or John List? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. So, I wanted to start kind of a new project with our show. Am I finished with the John List stuff?
Are you?
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think I'm finished. But anyway, so I kind of wanted to start, and I don't know how to explain myself because y'all know my brain. I had reached out to a couple of police departments, and I wanted to highlight some cold cases,
some local
cold cases here in town, because, and not because of this show that I watched, but I'd actually reached out a couple of weeks ago. And I also reached out to a friend of a friend, and so I'm waiting to hear back. But guys, if you know of any cold cases, anybody that's wanting to come on the show, that would be great. That's one of the things that I told Eric. I said, I want to do something productive with the show. And I thought about doing that. This case went 18 years. And I don't know if you guys watch local Lubbock news. There was a case that they just solved, but we'd never even heard about it. Mm-hmm. And
crazy guy. He was stalking real estate agents all over kind of the West Texas area. And
that's how this guy got busted. So he's threatening these real estate agents, but he's also telling them, he's also telling them that he's going to kill their families, their daughters or something. So anyway, of course, I want to say he was bothering people in Waco, I think.
There's a real estate agent in Waco that made a complaint against him that ultimately, through some investigation, Waco police in conjunction with local LPD, they finally found him and tracked him down.
So they tracked him down for that. And then, of course, they put all of his DNA in the database or whatever, and it matched a case here out of Lubbock. And this case was early 2000s. And so anyway, again, never had heard of the case. So I did reach out to LPD, and I did ask them if maybe I could. All I said was hey, if you guys give me a list of your cold cases, Eric could do all the research. Eric could do all the research, and I present it. And anyway, so that's kind of my hopes to go with the show, and also still, do some of my random cases that we do that I love to watch. So, hey, B, thanks for tuning in. And anyway, so if you have any ideas for that or any contacts, that would be great. And like I said, okay. And let's also just tell you right now, I'm not pretending to solve the case. Okay, that's too much work.
Just kind of presenting where it's at and the facts.
I just want to present the who, the what, the when, the where, the why.
I'm not trying to make a series out of one particular incident, just kind of highlighting, bringing awareness to cold cases, current cold cases. But,
because that's too much work, you guys. I'm not trying to do all as far as detective goes. Okay, so List had OCPD. And he only saw two options to deal with his financial woes: welfare or kill his family to send to heaven. Welfare was not an option. Due to his upbringing with a strict father. Due to his upbringing. Oh, due to his upbringing with a strict father. Yeah, and he said he had a domineering mother. And then when they said that, I was like, am I a domineering mother? Define domineering. You're the smart one. Oh, I can't be violent on TV. Oh, did you see my hand? Did y'all see my hand? It just went out and y'all didn't see nothing. That was just a glitch. Anyway. Okay, guys. So I think we are going to wrap it up. Again, you know any cold cases? What did I say? Current cases, anybody that wants to come on and talk about a show, or if you have any shows that we want to discuss, kind of like John lists today.
And I don't guess it has to be anything that's like, been covered by, any other program like Forensic Files or, any of the typical shows, right?
Yeah,
just any kind of case that maybe flying under the radar that, we can talk about.
Yeah, well, like that girl. I mean, that one flew under the radar since 2001. Mm-hmm. And then his DNA matched the semen found on her body. And then you put it out there and say, hey, this is a cold case that we just solved. And I'm like, well, how did we not know about this case? Mm-hmm. So anyway, guys, leave your thoughts in the comments. Message me, text me. Y'all know I'm available through all sorts of communication. Message the show. And I think that's everything, right? I feel like I'm leaving something out. See, producer, I need you because you always keep me on track. That's what you can always keep me on track. So anyway.
Run through all the notes.
Okay, let Eric run through all the notes. And Joanne saying, don't answer, Eric.
Too late.
Too late, Joanne. Okay, so while we're waiting, okay, hold on a second.
So it
Eric
says,
found something.
so just recent, but Jamie sent this about the 18-room townhouse. Most recently came back on the market for $79 million in January after a $9 million price cut. So it was listed at what would that be, 88 million, and they cut it by $9 million. So
really?
So the house is still there. 2013, the home has been on and off the market with multiple price cuts since 2013 when it was listed for 114 million. Was about
Does it have a swimming pool?
20,000 square foot. Manhattan's Upper East Side. The owner is billionaire Florida Panthers owner Vincent Viola.
Oh, so the Florida Panthers. Who's that? Football? Who are the Panthers?
No, the Florida Panthers are not football.
Hockey?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't watch hockey, so.
Is it? Who's the Florida Panthers? Anybody know?
We'll go with hockey.
Is it hockey?
I don't know.
Golf? It's probably golf, isn't it?
But then we have Google. Right?
Right. I don't know who the Florida Panthers are. I've never even heard of them. So anyway, a Florida Panther owns that New York house?
The owner of Florida Panthers.
It's hockey, isn't it? Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Nice hockey.
Cool. Anyway, guys. Okay, so if you catch us on the replay, post it in your comments. And guys, thank y'all so much for being on. You guys are amazing. And so yes, click on that. My assistant is having to help me. No, go to that one right there.
Which one?
And remember, let's keep talking sheet. Bye, everybody.
Bye.